The meeting, the meeting of the Board of Regents of Texas Tech University is now called to order. The board will continue in open session and meet as a committee of the whole. Chancellor Mitchell, President Hawkins, President Skovenick, President Lang, and President Rice Spearman, will you please present your introductions and recognitions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have several individuals that I'd like to recognize as well as one team today. First, I'd like to recognize one of our own team members. This is Ms. Dawn Payne. Dawn, where are you? Dawn, stand up. This month, Dawn began serving as the Assistant Vice Chancellor and Director of the Texas Tech University System Office of Equal Opportunity. Charlotte Bingham, whom most of you know, has served in that role for more than 12 years. She retired in July. Charlotte could not be here today because she's already in her retirement mode, and I believe she and her husband have moved to Maine. But I want to thank her for her commitment to the system as well as her support and counsel that she's provided to not just our team but previous teams over the years. For the past 10 years, Dawn has served as the Assistant Managing Director and more recently as the Managing Director of the Equal Employment Opportunity Office, gaining experience that makes her uniquely qualified for her new role. Prior to this, she served as the Director of Career Services at Texas Tech University School of Law, from which she graduated magna cum laude with a JD in 2005. She received her bachelor's degree in communications and psychology from the University of Michigan, and soon after graduation, she got her start in Lubbock as an anchor and reporter for KLBK TV. She also has worked in the marketing and advertising industry and has 16 years of litigation and employment law experience. Before joining the system, she was at CD&M, Crenshaw Dupree Milam Law Firm. Please join me in congratulating Dawn on her new role. She also has with her here today Mary Poteet and Crystal Cumberland, who are in their office. So congratulations, everybody. I'd also like to recognize our Texas Tech University System Governmental Relations team. Everybody please stand. Where's the GR? Here they are. This team is led by Vice Chancellor for State Relations Martha Brown and Vice Chancellor for Government Relations Christina Butts, both here today. Our GR team monitors the legislative processes both in Austin and in Washington, D.C., communicating the importance of higher education to our elected officials who then champion our initiatives at the state and national capitals. In D.C., our government relations team builds connections with federal lawmakers and keeps our TTU system administration and institutions well informed on legislation that could impact our work. This spring, our state relations team led us through the 87th Texas legislative session. This session was an unusual one with the ongoing pandemic, additional questions regarding the state budget, and uncertainty about the distribution of federal funds. As always, our team did a truly remarkable job tracking hundreds of bills as they made their way through the legislative process and working with our lawmakers who ultimately approved funding for each of our exceptional items for our institutions. The legislature also approved House Bill 1522, which was signed into law by Governor Greg Abbott on June 8th, allowing us to officially welcome Midwestern State University into our system effective September 1st, 2021. After the regular session ended on May 31st, a special session began on July 8th, and it's currently in its final week. And as you know, the governor just called for another session to start in the near future. Beyond the sessions, the work doesn't stop. Our teams continue to work to place our universities in the best possible positions with our elected officials. Their work is crucial to our mission, our vision, and our success at the Texas Tech University system. Without their efforts, we wouldn't be who we are or where we are today. In addition to Martha and Christina, the team includes Aaron Hornaday, Senior Director of Governmental Relations, and Debbie Martinez, Executive Associate. And in Austin, as well as Washington, D.C., we have Sarah Keaton, Associate Vice Chancellor for State Relations, Shelton Green, Senior Director for State Relations, and Jennifer Brown, Senior for Federal Relations. Please help me thank our GR team for all the work they do in dedication to our system.
Chancellor, before you go further, may I just say a word about my friend Martha? We were law school classmates, and what little success I had there was ensured by me sitting by her as much as I could in class. She's a wonderful friend. She's given her career life to this institution, and she's a beautiful lady inside and out and does a fabulous job, and I'm proud proud to call her a good friend and thrilled that she's given her life to this institution and done such a fabulous job. Thank you, Martha.
Finally, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to recognize that we have several of our presidents who are celebrating milestones in their Texas Tech University system careers. Last week, Lawrence Skuvenek celebrated 5 years as president of Texas Tech University. And 24 hours of sobriety. Next week marks 1 year since Ronnie Hawkins was named as the president of Angelo State. And lastly, so that we don't forget our most senior president, Rick Lang, in July, President Lang celebrated 7 years at the helm of the Texas Tech University Health Sciences Center in El Paso. And that's all my recognitions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Dr. Mitchell.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to introduce the new women's basketball coach of Angelo State University, Miss Alicia Ellis. Alicia brings with her to Angelo State a long line of success in basketball, both as a player and a coach. While in high school in Plainview, Texas, she helped her team to 3 Class 4A Girls State Championship team titles. She then carried her success to Texas Tech University, where she had a stellar career all 4 years while playing under both Marcia Sharp and Christy Curry. While at Texas Tech, she was named to the Big 12 All-Freshman team, as well as Big 12 Honorable Mention during her first year. During the next 3 years, she landed Big 12 honors during her sophomore and junior years, and during her senior year, grabbed all Big 12 second team honors, leading the team in scoring with 13.1 average per game and rebounds with 18.7 boards per game. After finishing as a player at Texas Tech, she took her basketball prowess to the coaching ranks, spending time first at the high school level, leading Lubbock Christian High School to a state championship in only her second year as head coach. From there, she jumped to the university level, landing the Wayland Baptist head coaching job in 2013. During her 8 years at Wayland Baptist, her team made it to the national tournament every year, winning 3 Sooner Athletic Conference titles and compiling a .759 winning percentage, including a 44-3 record over the last 2 years. Her teams were ranked in the top 25 in the country all 8 years, including being the number 2 ranked team heading into the national tournament in her last 2 years at Wayland. She was also voted Sooner Athletic Conference Coach of the Year 4 different times during her tenure. Alicia's success as both a player and a coach, along with her ability to recruit and graduate high-caliber players, made her the obvious choice to be the next head women's basketball coach at Angelo State University. Please join me in welcoming Alicia to her new role.
Mr. Chairman, first I'd like to introduce Paul Hutton. Paul joined Texas Tech Public Media in 2011 and served as general manager since 2015. Recently, he was selected to serve on the National Board of Directors for PBS. This appointment brings additional positive publicity to the work of Texas Tech Public Media and his efforts to build a model for rural broadcast platform. Paul also serves as the vice chair of Texas PBS and is on the board of Vision Maker Media. Following the 2019 merger of Texas Tech Public Media and PBS El Paso, the organization's broadcast footprint has grown to include over 1.7 million people in Lubbock, San Angelo, and El Paso. He's been nominated for 6 Emmy Awards and has won 3 for his nonfiction film work. He was also named Broadcaster of the Year by the Texas Association of Broadcast Educators in 2016. We appreciate all you do, Paul, and congratulations.
Mr. Chairman, it's Paul's team that provides all of our support for board meetings. Daniel Ballard runs the switchboard for us, so they do a lot of work directly for us here as well. So thank you guys for that.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, Ted. Next, I'd like to introduce somebody who couldn't be here today. But when we speak, of what it means to be in the Red Raider family, especially those who have a deep love for Texas Tech and our community. There's no person I can think of who better exemplifies that than Evelyn Davies. We recently named a classroom in the Livermore Center after she made a generous donation to refurbish that facility, and we had a private ribbon cutting with Evelyn. Evelyn is 97 years old, and just a few days ago she had some health complications. But later today, Alicia Knight will show her these comments. She is as sharp as a tack. At that event in the Livermore, she asked questions about drones and robotics that would have made you think she was an engineer. But she first attended Texas Tech from 1942 to 1943, and then went on to receive her Bachelor of Arts in English from Chatham College in Pennsylvania in 1944. She is truly, though, a lifelong learner. She got her Master of Arts in English from University of Houston in 1978, and in 1992, she returned to campus to take 2 courses in Human Development and Family Studies. She's currently a member of the Center for the Society of Addiction and Recovery Advisory Board, Friends of the Library and the Southwest Collection, the Spur Society and the Matador Society, the Engineering Key Society, and the Chancellor's Council. She's a former member of the Friends of Music, the Museum of Texas Tech Association, and the Texas Tech Foundation Board. And in 2011, she received a Distinguished Service Award from the College of Human Sciences. She serves as the president of the Board of Trustees of the Evelyn Davies Foundation and is the Board of Trustees of the Diamond Foundation. Evelyn and her foundation have given more than $10 million to Texas Tech. Evelyn, we are deeply grateful to you for your loyalty, your generosity, and your deep affection for Texas Tech. And finally, I'd like to bring to your attention some material you have on your desk. Danny Koch is part of the Veterans Advocacy Group here in Lubbock, and he's part of our connection to our veterans in the military group in this city. Texas Tech, like all the components, is listed in Military Times as a best bet for vets. And we have here a coin that was minted in honor of Captain Joshua Meadows. He is a Texas Tech grad who was killed in Afghanistan, and Danny wanted you to have this. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Dr. Skovanec. Dr. Rice-Spearman.
Good morning. It's my pleasure to introduce to you one of our university distinguished professors, Dr. Susan Bergeson. Susan, please stand. Susan is a professor of cell biology and biochemistry, and she, along with her cohort, Dr. Leslie Shin from the Department of Pathology, were recently awarded a $7.25 million NIH grant entitled Medication Development for the Treatment of Alcohol Use Disorder. One of the reasons I wanted to highlight Dr. Bergeson today is she stands as an shining example of what it's going to look like for the future of research for the Health Sciences Center and the Component University. Dr. Bergeson's lifelong research pursuit is to understand how alcoholism develops and can be treated. Results from gene expression bioinformatics studies led to the identification of potential brain targets, followed by structure-function-based modification of small molecule drug. Tests with our animal cohorts, including Dr. Brittany Backus at the College of Agricultural Sciences and Natural Resources, also resulted in some additional funding from the Laura W. Bush Institute for Women's Health, and very exciting, Dr. Lawrence Skovanec and Dr. Mitchell did a joint President's Initiative to promote collaboration a few years ago, and this startup funding came from that particular funding source. Dr. Bergeson's expertise is in basic science, and for this project to continue, she realized that she needed some of her clinical colleagues to successfully develop an FDA-approved medication. Dr. Shin, a friend, answered the call, and they began to work together. The following names I'm going to list are the deep collaboration across both universities. Dr. Peter Sipin is a professor emeritus in pharmacology and neuroscience. He came to the table and brought very critical expertise in pharmacology. When a chemist was needed, Dr. Ted Reed in ophthalmology and visual sciences came to also come and help create 17 new analogs. From basic science and clinical studies, Dr. Jahun Lee, from Associate Professor in the College of Education at Texas Tech, also happily agreed to collaborate. We then brought on a Texas licensed pharmacist, Dr. Min Can, who currently is serving as Interim Vice President for Research at the HSC and also is a talented cancer researcher herself. We then added Dr. David Edwards, who is a physician in the Department of Family Medicine, and also Dr. Regina Braham from the Department of Psychiatry, and Dr. David Trotter also from the Department of Family Medicine. We then added Dr. Kathy Lovett, who is also from our Clinical Research Institute. Another exciting piece of this collaboration, which resulted in this NIH funding, was our collaboration with the Hub. Kim and her team surrounded Dr. Bergeson, allowed her to also begin the steps of a startup company of her own, which will be a collaboration with TTU, and they are in the early stages of patent development around this pharmaceutical drug. It is my honor to present to you Dr. Susan Bergeson.
Dr. Lang.
I have no introduction, but we'll talk a little bit about the dental school shortly, in which case I'd like to introduce you to the dental school dean.
All right. Does that, I'm sorry.
Is that now, Ted? Yeah. Have the first slide, please. Dr. Rice Spearman, and yesterday presented her strategic plan. I'm going to present a very small part of ours, just to get the Woody L. Hunt School of Dental Medicine off the ground. Let me give you just a little bit of background and motivation behind this is that when you look at dentists across the United States and the number of dentists, Texas lags behind. We're in the bottom 10 states with regard to the number of dentists per 100,000 individuals. But even though as there's a shortage across the state, it's particularly exacerbated in rural areas like El Paso. There's an unequal distribution of dentists across the United States. And in fact, we have 3 great dental schools. We actually have 4 now, but 3 previously, in Houston, Dallas, and San Antonio. And that would graduate on average 300 dental students per year among the 3. And when they graduated, not surprisingly, they would stay in those areas. So 60% of the dentists reside in those counties and the counties contiguous to that. And we had a 2/3 dental shortage in El Paso. Even though Texas is behind the U.S., we had almost a 70% shortage with regard to dentists in El Paso alone. About half the residents in El Paso have never even seen a dentist. Now, there were 2 studies done in about 2007, 2012, presented for the Higher Education Coordinating Board, where the other dental schools said, listen, if you just let us raise the number of students we have, we'll put out more dentists and there'll be more to go to West Texas. Well, in fact, we tried that for 10 years. We graduated over 2,390 students from those 3 dental schools, and you can see only 22 of those, less than 1%, came from West Texas. Because you know what? If you're not from West Texas, you just don't appreciate West Texas, and that's not where you stay. So that was the impetus behind starting the dental school. There are 66 dental schools across the United States. So this is a relatively small community. It started in about 2018 with the vision and the support, obviously, of the board, of the legislators, of our community as well. This is the accreditation approval. It required the Higher Education Coordinating Board. Arcilla, were you on there at that particular time? You were. This was unique because the Higher Education Coordinating Board had never approved a dental school, because the last one approved was 50 years ago before the Higher Education Coordinating Board was even formed. And then obviously accreditation by SAC-COC, and then finally the Commission on Dental Accreditation. While that's going on, we had 4 parallel pathways. We had the accreditation pathway. We had a pathway for forming the curriculum. It's because I'll tell you, this is a curriculum unlike any other in the United States. The dean and I visited, he visited 1/4 of the dental schools across the nation. I visited with him on 1/5 of these to find out what they were doing, the newest dental schools. The curriculum I'm going to show you is the most innovative across the United States and has the attention of every dental school dean in the United States about what we're doing. So we're setting up accreditation, we're setting up education, we're setting up fundraising, because these are not inexpensive. And it started with a gift from the Woody L. Hunt Family Foundation of $25 million, and Paso del Norte is $6 million. By the way, in another couple of weeks, we're going to announce another $5 million gift to get us off the ground. And then finally, we have facilities as well. I'll tell you a little bit more about that. So all of these things are going on at the same time. This is the mission of the dental school. It's to improve the oral health of the people of Texas and the greater El Paso community by focusing on the unique oral and overall health care needs of the border population, and they are unique. When I have more time, I'll tell you a little bit about how they differ from other places in the United States. But by demonstrating excellence in education, research, patient care, and providing leadership to the practicing community. So improving health, unique needs, excellence, and leadership as well. I mentioned the curriculum. A typical curriculum in medical school and dental school is you spend 2 years in very basic science, and the last 2 years you begin to see patients. And you learn things in those first 2 years that may or may not have any application. For example, when we were putting the curriculum together, I asked the dean of the dental school, who's been in practice for 38 years, he was on the board of trustees of the American Dental Association. In fact, he was going to be the next president of the national organization before I plugged him to do this. And I said, did you learn the Krebs cycle in college? So you had to do that. You had to learn in dental school. I said, in your 38 years of practice, how many patients walked in and said, Dr. Black, can you please recite the Krebs cycle for me? He said, absolutely none. Now, how do students do it now? It's real simple. They pick up something like this and say, Siri, what's the Krebs cycle?
Here's what I found.
That's how they do it. You don't need to memorize the Krebs cycle. What you need to do is be prepared for the next 20 or 30 years. I'm a cardiologist. I still practice. 90% of what I do wasn't even available in medical school. I had to learn it afterwards. So how do you teach them to be lifelong learners? How do you teach them to integrate things from the very beginning? And how do you teach them to have an emphasis on clinical decision-making and active reasoning? The whole curriculum is designed around that, not around memorization, by the way. So our dental students don't see people the third year, they see people the 6th week of their class. That's when they begin to see patients. And as I'll show you, they're going to learn a unique skill in the dental simulation center. They're going to go immediately across the street and practice on the patient. They're going to come back and learn a more complex skill and take it right across the street. And by the way, they do it in a simulation center so they keep doing it until they're competent in what they do and then can take it to the patient. Early clinical experience, integration, case-based, and then finally, they'll also develop a certificate in public health. So they're integrated into the community, they become the leaders. And by the way, like our medical school, they'll learn Spanish. The only Spanish-speaking required dental school in the United States, by the way. So it really is a very innovative curriculum. Now, where to put the dental school? Well, we hadn't planned on having a dental school in 2016, 2017. This came very quickly. But fortunately, as a result of our tuition revenue bond, we had built a medical science building, which would double our research space. At the time that we built it, I knew it would take about 2 decades to fill it with researchers. And rather than construct labs that would be out of date by the time we constructed the research, we actually had a shelved 3rd floor that was going to be planned for future development of the research center. This is a great place to put the dental learning center. To have the dean there, the dental learning center, room for all the conferences for the students to learn, the dental student lounge, and all the faculty offices as well. This is that dental learning center. It's 25,000 square feet. It's a complete digital workflow. What does that mean? It means exactly what the students are learning now and exactly how dentists will practice 3 or 4 years from now. I'll show you a little bit more about that. This is literally the most state-of-the-art dental learning center in the United States. There's nothing that is 20 or 30 years old in this dental learning center, because that's not going to help our students at all. This is what it looks like. These are mannequins. Those teeth are removable, by the way, both as plates, upper and lower plates, and the individual teeth, so the students will learn how to fill cavities, they'll learn how to put crowns on, they'll learn how to take care of gingival disease. Those setups, by the way, are exactly like the setups in the clinic in which they'll be practicing. All of the pieces that you see there, state-of-the-art, all electric and electronic, no air pressure, none of this high-pitched sound you hear in the dentist's office. It gives you PTSD, by the way, when you hear it, all right? This is literally state-of-the-art. There are 80 centers there. When you wanted a crown 2 years ago, the dentist would do an impression, send it off, put a temporary crown on, comes back in about 6 weeks later. Now, we have cameras, they take a picture, we do a 3D image, it sends it to a computer, the CAD CAM literally mills your crown while you're there, you have that done in the morning, you come back in the afternoon, your crown's put on. Same day service. That's how things have changed. That's how our students are going to be learning, by the way. Concomitant with the Dental Learning Center, we had to build a clinic. So catty corner to that, we had a building which was going to be purposed for offices. We repurposed it to become the Texas Tech Dental Oral Health Clinic. Tell you how quickly this started. The construction started on July 28, 2020. By the way, we had this thing called a pandemic going on during this particular time period. This project was completed last month, on time, ahead of time, under budget, 40,000 square feet, 145 dental operatories, so that the 240 dental students that we'll have there, over all 4 years, will be able to practice on those patients there. It will have the exact same setups. Again, it'll be computer-assisted design and manufacturing as well. This is what the dental center clinic looks like. It is literally beautiful. All the art there, by the way, is from local artists as well. And I want you to get an appreciation of that really is state of the art. Another picture of it as well. And then finally, our faculty can practice there and also in their own separate area as well. These are faculty care operatories. Integrated in there are the classrooms. You can see on either side of the classroom are the dental operatories. These classrooms will allow us to take pictures of what we're doing there, transport it into the classroom to learn, and transport that information really across the United States for learning opportunities. It really is state of the art. Mark asked a question, Regent Griffin asked a question yesterday about whether Dr. Rice Spearman's goals and strategic missions were aligned with the values-based culture. This shows that really the students that we are trying to recruit are aligned with the values that we appreciate and we have endorsed as a community as well. Obviously, we want students that have great academic accomplishments. We're very interested in their personal attributes and their life experiences and what they want to contribute to the community as well. We can get a lot of students with great GPAs, but can you get a student that really buys the mission of what you're doing? We had 965 total applicants. This is a first-year school. The clinic wasn't open, by the way. The simulation center wasn't open, by the way. Most of the dental schools across the United States were having virtual interviews. We're the only dental school in Texas that allows students to come visit. We thought, well, they're not going to want to do that. Half the students we interviewed 320, 160 of them came with their parents to El Paso to see what was going on. It was absolutely remarkable. These are the statistics: average GPA 3.5, science GPA 3.4. I want you to take a notice of a couple things. 32 El Pasoans applied, 3% of the people we interviewed, 11% of West Texans, and you can see about a third are white, a third are Asian, a third are Hispanic or African American. These are the students we actually recruited that are actually joined us and began the 1st of July, by the way. GPA 3.6, better than the national average. Science GPA 3.5, average dental admissions test 20. 18% of our class is from El Paso, 43% are from West Texas. They get it, and they're likely to remain in West Texas and El Paso and practicing as well. 2/3 of them are female. This is really remarkable. Most dental school classes, it's at best half and half as well. 21 different undergraduate universities, and they came from all over the state of Texas. You'll see towns you normally don't see dental students come from: Marfa, Eagle Pass, Haltom City, Oak Point. So from Lubbock, Griffith, Clarendon, Mount Pleasant, Magnolia, Katy as well. Students are all attending the inaugural class. This is the inaugural class. I say it is, except there's one guy that looks a little bit older than the rest in the middle. That's the dean of the dental school. That's Dr. Rick Black. I said I'd introduce him. As I mentioned, he was a practicing orthodontist for 38 years, was about to retire. He is beloved in this community. He's one of 16 members of the American Dental Association Board of Trustees from across the U.S. They take 4 per year. He was destined to be the president of the American Dental Association, and before he took that job, we asked him if he'd be the dean of the dental school. He opened doors, by the way, across the United States. He was responsible for building the new test. It's going to have people licensed as well. He's the inaugural dean, and he's absolutely fantastic. And you can see the smiles there. Now, I want to show you one last thing. I'm going to have you start that in just a second. This is a 3.5-minute spot from a local TV station. I have to warn you ahead of time, you're going to meet two students. One of them played college athletes at a rival institution in the state of Texas. Now, there'll be a short clip where she is in the rival's uniform. It may cause some medical discomforts, medical issues. I'll be here during the entire time of the presentation. Okay? So with that, let me show you what the community thinks about the dental school. Can you play this for us, please?
A new report by the Texas Department of Health shows that by 2025, there will be a massive shortage of dentists nationally. In Texas, that shortage will be about 500 dentists, mostly in underserved areas like El Paso. But the solution is also coming from El Paso here at Texas Tech.
My goal is to go back and open up the first dental office in Marfa.
Meet Daniela Acosta, former high school homecoming queen and track star. She grew up the oldest of 5 siblings to a single mom in Marfa, Texas. The closest dentist to those in Marfa is either in El Paso or across the border in Acuña, which is in Coahuila, Mexico.
4-hour trip to go to Acuña just to get braces. I would go every month.
Upon high school graduation, Daniela left home and became a certified dental hygienist. She worked for 10 years helping dentists in Austin and Corpus Christi.
No, the education in Marfa, no one's made it as far as a doctor, and just no one wants to be in that rural area. We're about 3 hours away from the city, so if you're not from there, there's no reason to be out there.
Paso native. I grew up here. I actually went to grade school about a mile from this campus and high school at Austin High School.
Dr. Richard Black understands and appreciates the complexities of providing the health care in an underserved area. Black is the dean of the brand new Texas Tech Health Sciences Center Dental School in El Paso. His mission is largely to help fill this need by creating a new generation of dentists.
Wherever they go, we're training them to really become immersed in the culture.
As Dr. Black explains it, the dental school is unique, mostly in this way. The first class of dentists consists of 40 DMD candidates, all of which are taking rigorous courses in Spanish on top of their medical curriculum. Each of them receives a public health certificate so they can begin to get on the front lines of the issue.
The majority of our class, they're either from border towns or from West Texas, so they understand that there is a dental shortage of, there's a shortage of dental professionals here. And if you actually look it up, El Paso, Texas actually has a 57% shortage of general dentists compared to the national average, which is huge. And Kobe had really helped me a lot with that, and Camille just giving me a lot of confidence as a hitter.
Division I collegiate volleyball athlete Sydney Fields gets it. Originally from Houston, the DMD candidate serves up that the underserved are not just in border towns and rural areas, but also in impoverished urban areas. The student athlete is a second-generation college graduate who will give back to her community as well.
There's just a huge need for medical professionals here, dental professionals here, people who can provide these services and education to the community and, services and care that they otherwise wouldn't have if we weren't here.
Part of the services this new crop of dentists will be able to offer are also a unique aspect of the dental school. It is an all-electronic and all-digital school, which means these dentists will be able to create and generate their own dental prosthetics using 3D technology.
And that's nothing new to the borderland, especially with our maquila plants, but it's very new to dentistry.
The dental school is considered the newest state-of-the-art dental college in North America. Ironic, given the generations of those who've gone without dental care or sought help across the border. 7 of the dental candidates are from El Paso. With the exception of a handful, the vast majority are from small Texas towns that have very limited access to dental care. It's hoped they will each go back to serve their communities and encourage others to follow their footsteps.
Tell them to follow their dreams. It could be anything they want as long as they just go for it.
KFOX 14, Carpe Diem.
So again, I want to thank the board. This would not have happened without your support. Regent Acosta, thank you as well for approving the dental school, and for the chancellor for the work that he did tirelessly behind the scenes with our legislators as well. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions about the dental school. And again, I want to thank you all for your support.
Dr. Lang, what a true marquee event for Texas Tech Health Science, Texas Tech University system. And it's almost what I guess you would call a perfect storm, in the sense that we're there to provide a service to a need that is overwhelming. You don't really always have those type of opportunities. And you're being there for 7 years, and the leadership provided regarding the execution of that, and fruition, start of 40 students, raising of the money, et cetera. You're to be more than commended in regard to guiding that event, so to speak. And it's much appreciated, and there will be rewards and gratification that none of us will ever see in regard to that effort. So it's a great day for the Texas Tech University system, and thank each and every one of you on behalf of the board. With that, I believe that concludes our presentation for that. The board will continue in open session and meet as a committee of the whole, meeting of the board. With that, is there a motion to May 13th, 2021 and May 25th, 2021?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Kano, please present the schedule of upcoming board meetings.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The schedule of upcoming board meetings includes adoption of the changes to the schedule for the rest of this year, along with board meetings for 2022. Those meeting dates are listed on page 13 of the agenda book, but just a special note to the fact that on September 1st, we'll be having a special called board meeting in Wichita Falls. Will be the first meeting with MSU Texas being a part of the system. That will be followed by an October 3rd through 15th retreat, and then the November 18th through 19th board meeting, because we made the decision to move the December meeting to November. The remaining schedule for 2022 was previously shared with members of the board and is listed on page 13. So we will be moving forward with adopting these dates as printed.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Any questions, thoughts? With that, Dr. Lang, please present your report on strategic initiatives.
And that was
That
my
was it,
earlier
okay.
report. Yes,
All
sir.
right, I didn't know if there was another aspect to that or not.
No, sir.
Very good. All right, next we'll hear from our student government presidents. Kristen Kilpatrick, please present the SGA report for Angelo State University.
Good morning, everyone. It's always great to be back. I'm sorry that I had to miss the meeting in May, but I trust that Brady, my vice president, did a great job. But it's always great to be back in visiting Lubbock. Exciting new restaurants that we don't have in San Angelo, so very cool. So is this the clicker right here? Awesome, sweet, thank you. So welcome. So about us, we're starting our 93rd session of Student Government Association. So pictured here, we see our executive team. So from left to right, we have Blaze Leatherwood, who is with me today, who's serving as our parliamentarian, Brady Floyd, who serves as my vice president, Madison Wallace, who serves as the president pro temp, myself, and Emma Underwood, who's serving as our secretary, and Max Hoff, who is serving as our Senate clerk. Most of these people are returning for their second term, including myself. We were very blessed to be advocating for the students for another year. And this past year, we had a really awesome session for the 92nd session within legislation. One of the things included installing a crosswalk on Dina Drive, which is a street that students typically have to cross to get from a parking lot to one of our academic buildings. So this will just make a safer community, and this was actually a bill that I wrote originally when I was a sophomore, and now I'm a senior, so it's great to see that come all the way through. So an overview of initiatives today that I'm going to be talking about is the Rams Against Drunk Driving Coalition, which is something that we have been installing for the past year or so. Also mental health with trainings, programs, and open dialogue within our students, and then our campus closet, and finally the Exploratory Program. And then after this, I will follow with other priorities that we have within our student government and on our campus. So starting with the Rams Against Drunk Driving Coalition, last year's program, we had a week of drunk driving awareness and prevention, and we actually had our university police department officers come with us to the university center as pictured to have drunk goggles and do a field sobriety test for students passing by to see if they would pass. None of them did. And then we passed out information about our Rams Against Drunk Driving Coalition and what our plans are for the following year as we're getting started with more and more programs. So this past year, we got to work with the University Police Department, and then this year in September, we're going to be working with the Counseling Services Center and the Risk Management Department at Angelo State University to create more programs. We're planning on having a pretty big event where we get to partner with the Texas Department of Transportation and have a wrecked car on display for students. To just have like a heavy impact on them on what the dangers are. And then we are still in the works of trying to get a rideshare partnership with either Uber or Lyft in the city of San Angelo. Both of them are a pretty common presence in San Angelo, but we do have a drunk driving problem in the city. And so I think combating that with giving students an alternative to where they can have sober drivers available to them, and perhaps a partnership where we can help them pay for that and afford it, then we will install that as soon as possible. Furthermore, we're at this event, we're going to have different interactive activities for students to make it fun and giveaways. One of the things that we are planning on doing is Mocktails, where we will have students pour fruit drinks and see if they know the correct serving sizes, serving portions of alcoholic drinks. And we hope to have other student leaders from every organization on campus represent their seat in the Rams Against Drunk Driving Coalition, because this is a campus-wide initiative that we need all student leaders, especially Greek life leaders, to be taking initiative on to make a priority. Next, we have mental health. So this has been our initiative for I think the past 2 presidential terms, even before I was president. This is something that we wanted to focus on, but also, especially because of the pandemic and the consequences of what has happened, many people have been affected differently, so we just want to make sure that every student is taken care of in every capacity, including mental health, which is commonly neglected in common conversations because we prioritize our physical health. But our goal in Student Government Association is to make sure that every student has the right resources available to them where they can help anyone in a mental health crisis if they are called upon by their friends or their family, or if they just hear about someone on campus that's struggling, they know exactly who to go to reach out for help and make sure that they are taken care of so we can prevent tragic accidents. So we are doing this by hoping to have trainings in mental health and suicide preventions and just mental health in general for many students. And if they complete so many trainings, then they will get some sort of prize. And we're working with the Department of Student Affairs on that to determine a prize where students are going to feel motivated to go to these trainings and get the certifications that they need. So hopefully we can prioritize this with student leaders and as well as the entire student body. We also hope to have Wellness Week, where we're going to focus on things like mental wellness, physical wellness, academic wellness, financial wellness with the different departments in ASU, where they can have presentations and programs and just have discussions with students on what it means to be well in all of these areas, coming down to prioritizing our mental and physical health whenever it comes to academics, especially in the pandemic, and encouraging everyone to get the vaccine. So we hope to have interactive activities in all of these programs so students can feel motivated to go through them. Next, I have the campus closet. So this picture is actually a picture of our current campus closet on campus. So this is in a very small room behind our Career Development Center. This is a kind of a newer thing, and it is so small that they try not to advertise it just so people we don't run out of things, because there's not really like a running donation drive yet. This is just something that the Career Development Center has graciously put on for our students, and it's delivered by word of mouth. And so as you can see, there's 2 clothing racks, a mirror, and then there's a clothing rack behind me in this picture, and then we have some shoes available for students. And so because it's the Career Development Center, most of it is business formal and business casual clothing and shoes. And so we want to expand on this because the Mayer Museum was just installed and opened. We had the West Texas collection removed out of the University Center, and so there are a lot of open spaces. So I'm hoping to get some room in the University Center where we can prioritize this and get a bigger space so we can take more donations. And I think Student Government Association, in conjunction with the Career Development Center, will be very helpful and instrumental in this by constantly having clothing donation drives. Because we have an office in the University Center, we could constantly be having people bring in any clothing items that they may not have room for in their closet. I know I go through my closet pretty frequently, just had a yard sale. So going through all of these things and then donating them to our campus closet, and perhaps expanding it beyond business casual clothing to winter clothing or just regular everyday clothing. And if we have enough space, then we could possibly install changing rooms to make sure that people have the opportunity to try these on so they can go to any formal business event that they want to go to, like job interviews. But I also know that there are a lot of student organizations on our campus at ASU that require you to be in business casual or business formal clothing. SGA is not separate from that because we require that at our business formal meetings, and we don't want to have to we want to be able to make sure that everyone is well equipped to go to these meetings and they don't feel like they can't join any organization just because they don't meet the financial requirements because they can't afford something, because we want everyone to be involved and everyone to have the opportunity to do so. Finally, we have the Exploratory Program. So this is an initiative that I started in last spring. So we're kind of starting to see it roll through now because through the summer, through new student orientations, we had our undeclared students come and they're going through new student orientation. And most of the time at orientation, you will go through and you'll meet with your major individually and go and choose your classes. But undeclared students don't have that luxury, so they're not going to be meeting their friends that they're supposed to be having for the next 4 years because they're unsure of what they're supposed to do, which is totally normal. Most people change their majors. So we just want to be able to reach out to them as a peer mentor. So we're going to have a peer mentorship program with Student Government Association senators for all undeclared students that are willing to be a part of the program. And right now we are in the planning period of making sure that we have panels ready for faculty consisting of faculty, staff, students, and alumni from every college in the university. So students can go and attend these and ask questions and hear presentations about things that they're interested in. And we're just going to continue to reach out to them throughout their first year so we can connect them with what they're interested in. Moving on, so these are our other priorities within Student Government Association. The first one you see is Student Government Association Serves, SGA Serves. These are going to be monthly interactive service projects on the first Friday of every month. And right now, we have things planned with our local blood drive, the Children's Advocacy Center of the greater West Texas area, Alcohol and Drug Abuse Council for the Concho Valley, and hopefully the CAT Coalition on our campus. And so we're just going to be able to go and have interactive service projects where they can go serve in these facilities or do donation drives where people can bring things so that we can donate them from our campus. Next, you see Sustainability Week, where we will have conversations focused around environmental conservation on our campus. Next, we have We the Student Symposium. So this is going to be a conference with student leaders, hopefully with administration members and other leadership priority programs where we can have student leaders talk about what it's like to be a student leader and have some continuity for future student leaders and just improve our overall campus experience. Next is Student Government Association merchandise sales. We started by selling our first t-shirt ever as this past year as a fundraiser for the Ram Family Scholarship, and we raised an additional $200 for our scholarship that we give to a student each year at our Rammies. Next is the distance education seat. So for better representation within the Student Senate, we created the distance education seat, which will go into effect on August 23rd on the first day of school, where people that are attending our university online will still be able to represent other online students in our Student Senate. And finally, revising the Election Commission document because it has not been updated in a while, and we want to make sure that we have fair elections. In the past, I've been blessed with fair elections. I've run uncontested for 2 years, but we want to make sure that people have the opportunity to run and represent our student body as best as possible so we can be fair. Thank you for your time. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns?
Any questions of Kristen?
I just have a comment. Thank you for sharing these today, and I'm excited to see them on campus. She talked about the CAT Coalition. That's where they serve cats and feed them and stuff. And it actually brings a lot of joy to our students. So I'm excited to see some of these initiatives. I was also excited to hear about the campus closet. I toured Tech the other day and they told me about theirs. And so it was really awesome to know that we also have one because I was going to bring that back to y'all. So I'm excited for the year for you.
Very good. Thank you for all the work that you've done regarding creating a very positive culture, which is intangible for Angelo State. So you're to be commended in regard to that. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next, Mr. Faisal Al-Hamoud will report for Texas Tech University. Please present the SGA report for Texas Tech.
I always have a hard time with this clicker here. Awesome. All right, well, good morning, everyone. My name is Faisal Al-Mood. It's great to present in front of you all once again. I would like to first and foremost thank the members of the board, the chairman of the board, and once again, my deepest congratulations to our newest members. Can't wait to get us started with y'all this year. So I would like to say first also, hope everyone's had a good summer. It's my understanding that the past few weeks has been a little crazy. You know what they say, if you can't beat them, join them. So first, I'd like to start with campus life and engagement. Last year, something that I talked about, or last presentation, I talked about this a lot. One of the most important things as a student government association that we can do, one of the most important things as administrators, faculty, and staff that we can do this year is to engage our students as much as we possibly can. Because this, I believe, is kind of transitive with everything else that we do, with wellness, with affordability, with safety, with diversity, inclusion. If our students are more kind of adapted to their surrounding community, things like measures such as wellness measures, sexual assault measures, things like that, we don't have to wait for these instances to occur. We can be more proactive when people are more immersed within their communities. So this is the most exciting thing I'd say we got around this summer. Is the Rate or Riot. So Rate or Riot, if you guys don't know, it's a group of students that they started around 4 or 5 years ago. If you ever watched one of our basketball games and you saw those guys with dinosaur costumes sitting behind people doing free throws trying to distract them, that's Rate or Riot. You ever see it at our sports games when students are going like this and everyone around the world is like, what is that? That's Texas Tech. That started with Rate or Riot. Problem with Rate or Riot is a lot of the people that originally started Rate or Riot about 4 years ago are now naturally graduating. So they had two options. Instead of closing down the organization or to re-electing their executive officers, they did. They reached out to us this summer, and we have been working a lot with them, talking about how are we going to bring you guys into the new plan surrounding tailgating. Now that we hopefully will be able to have full capacity in sports games. Speaking of engagement, this will be huge. When it comes to students, especially a lot of students who've never been to a football game or basketball game who came last year. A lot of those first-year students who came last year don't know anyone. And not at the fault of their social ability, just at the fault of isolation. So I'm really excited about that. And further speaking about engagement, we have our first-year engagement programs. This is broken down into two separate parts. We have something called First-Year Leadership Association, First-Year Engagement. Over the last course month and a half, if you've been on campus, on Texas Tech's main campus, you see that we've kind of adapted our these clickers. We kind of switched up our orientation practices. Hello. Okay. You know what? I'll just talk. So a lot of the students, instead of having to go online or go to separate buildings to meet with student organizations, our transition engagement department, they created this tabling event. I don't know how long it's been there for, but I know that in my year, when I first started in student government, it wasn't around because of COVID. And students will just go and talk to organizations and collaborate and maybe join an organization that they never knew they would be interested in, like Ducks Unlimited or Student Government Association, for example. So over the course of about a month and a half, we've gone around 50 to 60 people to sign up just to see if they'd be interested in joining something like student government and joining our first-year engagement programs. Our first-year leadership association is kind of formed through an application process. People apply to intern for the executive officers and kind of see what projects they're working on. When I was a first-year student, I worked with our graduate vice president. His name was John Michael Getz, and he opened my eyes when it came to the ways that students can advocate on behalf of affordability and education sources such as open education resources. Dr. Ling, I thought that was really interesting when you pulled up the Krebs cycle on Siri, because that's the whole idea of open education resources. It's saying how much information is actually out there. When I took calculus, I learned about derivatives on YouTube. And so there are so many sources that students, especially those who are suffering, who are first-generation students, who don't have the funding to keep up with a social life, with an academic life, XYZ. So we want to really see how we can advocate for students on that behalf, especially in city and state councils. So we're excited to see what happens with our first engagement programs in that regard. Next, we have our Affordability Wellness. In terms of affordability, I think the most important thing that we can do is make sure that our students are really well connected to student organizations, because what we do on the behalf of affordability through our budget and finance processes is we allocate state budgets through student organizations, and it's based on kind of a model of did this student organization spend 100% of its budget last year? Well, then they can, go up to a 20 to 30% increase. Did they, spend only 30% of their budget? Well, then we should deduct them adequately through that. Something that we really focused on in the previous administration is seeing how we can make these efforts towards allocating budgets more qualitative as opposed to quantitative. We don't really think it's that fair to look at an organization and say, you know what, your previous administration only spent 70% of their budget, therefore you will be deducted 15%. How is it their responsibility when they weren't even part of an effective transition process? So we want to see how we can further commit to seeing how data can be more qualitative in terms of just purely quantitative, especially for our new organizations who are just starting. And one of my favorite things I'd say we worked on this summer is restorative justice. So myself, along with my executive members and some of the members in student government, along with a bunch of people on campus who work in regards to conflict mediation. So Center for Director of Campus Life, Dr. Kimberly Thornton, our Dean of Students, Dr. Gregory, Director of Student Government, Mike Gunn, and so on and so forth. We joined a training from University of Michigan. They had, I think, an 18-hour over a span of 5 days training talking about how can we make justice when it comes to violations of the Student Code of Conduct more more restorative as opposed to attributive. And those types, in the traditional forms of punishment when it comes to violations, we're really fast at striking down on students. And you hear of cancel culture today. A lot of times people's careers and their lives are just canceled for saying things that was spontaneous, it was on the spot, and they just simply weren't fully clear and aware of the moment, and they did something that they regret for the rest of their life. And just because now it's on social media, and now because people can virtue signal certain things, people are treated really unfairly sometimes when they didn't even mean it. On the other side, when you have conflict, you have people who are harmed and people who give harm. Sometimes people who are harmed, they're not looking. Their type of justice isn't for this person to get kicked out of university because the bureaucratic process asks for that to happen. A lot of times they just want the opposing party to just understand and acknowledge what they did wrong. So we're kind of looking at ways that we can reform and look at traditional practices when it comes to justice and punishment, and kind of see how we can further innovate and advance these things. Super important, especially in our community. Thirdly, safety. Something I talked about in my last presentation that I also worked on in the previous administration, something called Safe Now at TTU. Again, we want to be proactive about things when it comes to conflict, and when it comes to times that students can have that really scars them for the rest of their lives. So now that we started, partnering up with other bars around the city, we have now started our volunteering campaign within Student Government Associations. So we're getting a lot of people within student government and just interested members outside of it too, within our community, to get trained and to understand kind of what Safe Now TTU is, so that we can really get it fully implemented in the fall. And lastly, diversity and inclusion. This is something that Jarrett Lujan, our graduate vice president, a lot of you in here know him, is getting started with. He, this summer, contacted a lot of schools in a lot of different areas around our community, so that and scheduled times when we can go talk to people who maybe don't come from a family that was really immersed within the academia world. So we're going to start talking about that. Really, the most important thing with diversity and inclusion is this. We're tired of blanket statements. I think everyone is, from whatever side and whatever walk of life people come from. People want to see action and execution, and because a lot of people can just say whatever they want just to virtue signal and just to be liked within their community, and a lot of people are silenced and they don't have the proper mic to speak. So that's really important for us. Really, if I can really say anything. Oh, finally, we're starting a sustainability program. As many of you know, our compost system was taken out of system because simply, in our community of West Texas, recycling and sustainability and green efforts are not. They're not that talked about, they're not that important. So we're starting a group of student government volunteers who are going to go through our campus and just up the sustainability efforts. A lot of times our blue recycling bins are just simply used for another general waste trash can, just another blue bin. So we want to start that and start community service projects around, and that's going to be helped a lot with Dr. San Francisco. Many of you guys know he is our Dean of the Arts and Science, intern Dean, I believe, of Arts and Sciences College, and he's all about sustainability, so I can't wait to get started with him. Just to close it out, this is my second year of experience with an SGA in executive position, and I will say the most important thing that we could do during the summer is before starting anything, just making sure people know what they're doing. What are you? I'm the director of sustainability. What does that mean? Well, I direct sustainability projects. Okay. What else? Who are you delegating your tasks to? Are there weekly meetings? Do you guys understand, the process of a public institution? What needs to be done, from, implementing a carpet in front of a building because it's a slippery floor, all the way to, some of the bigger things we do. And lastly, I'd like to congratulate Dr. Lang. That presentation blew my mind. When a lot of people look at Texas Tech, they don't truly understand what's going on in the world of academia. And when you truly do the research and see what we're doing, it's groundbreaking and it's amazing. And when you kept using the word literally to explain state of the art, that is literally state of the art. So I want to congratulate you, and I want to close this off and congratulate everyone here for staying strong and representing our community. I was overseas over the last month doing an internship at a law firm, and people know us. They talk about us, not just in the sports world. They talk about us especially in the marketplace. We have amazing people who come out of our community into the marketplace. We are competitive, we are gritty, and I just can't be more proud to be a member of this community. So thank you all, and I'd like to open the floor for any questions.
Any questions? Comments? Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Next, Renato Gonzalez, will you please present your SGA report for the Health Science Center?
First, PowerPoint available? Let me see. All right. Well, good morning, everyone. I hope you all find yourselves well and is excited to begin the 2021 to 2022 academic school year. My name is Bernardo Gonzalez. I'm a second-year medical student here at the Texas Tech University Health Science Center in Lubbock, and president for the 36th legislative session of the Student Government Association. Through incredible advancements this past year, the scientific community has made great strides towards understanding COVID-19 virus and developing vaccines with outstanding efficacy and safety profiles. This has given us great confidence to carry out many of our SGA functions in a manner that resembles the more traditional way of how things have been done, while remaining cautious and vigilant about the safety of our students and our community. Today, I aim to fill you in on how we're planning to do so, as well as give you a broad overview of what we're planning to do this upcoming year. On the slide presented here, we have our tentative schedule for the formal Senate functions. I'd like to point out, however, that our elections will actually take place the week after the one that is listed above. Due to the nursing school starting school early in September, we will actually hold elections September 6th through the 10th to accommodate for them. Other than that, though, our schedule mirrors that of last year's fairly well, with 6 meetings in the fall and 7 in the spring. Some institution-wide changes I wanted to bring up here today. At the beginning of this month, all campuses affiliated with TTU-HSC resumed 100% capacity for its facilities and started operating normally. However, I'd like to point out that this is subject to change if circumstances worsen. Additionally, our clinics have taken safety precautions and have extended the availability of virtual appointments, just as our instructions have kept Zoom as an available option for those in larger classrooms. We're planning on introducing a new structure for our meetings that I have unofficially termed as the hybrid meetings for the time being. Across all of our affiliated campuses, we will reserve rooms equipped with TechLink technology, where all senators from each respective campus will get together and have the opportunity to attend and participate in meetings as if they were in the Lubbock campus. Through this structure, we are confident that we'll be able to restore much of what we were missing out on last year. Having the opportunity to build meaningful relationships with like-minded people, sparking conversations that lead to great ideas, and building one another up to be the best we can be. By bringing people together, we can enable them to do far greater things than we do, or than we can by simply summing up their individual efforts. The biggest argument against returning to a predominantly in-person Senate was that senators from different campuses would be excluded from by being withheld from the main meeting occurring in the Lubbock campus. However, thanks to TechLink technology, we can do a great job of making them feel as if they're there, and additionally, they'll be able to meet in person with those in their respective campuses and get all the benefits that they would from the in-person meetings. We're all excited to bring back everyone's favorite events. The holiday extravaganza and the end-of-year banquet are anticipated to return this coming year. We're also looking forward to having the opportunities to hold in-person fundraisers, social functions, and community service events. Okay, so here's the picture of myself and the rest of the executive board for this year. We're all eager to get to work towards making TTUHSE not only a better place for its students to receive an education, but also one that gives them a student experience that they can look back on with joy. And that concludes my presentation. I'd like to open the floor for any questions, comments, or concerns.
Okay, I got to meet with Bernardo the other day, but I want him to talk about one thing that he told me. Can you tell them about your suggestion box?
Oh, the suggestion box, sure. So one thing that is very challenging for the for SGA is to make sure that our students are being heard, because a lot of these students are very busy with their work, and oftentimes they don't even know who the senators are that represent their class. And so we want them to, like, if they have a particular suggestion, they can just drop it off at a box that they can just contact directly with the executive board, so that we can bring upon and hopefully bring action towards that suggestion that was being made. So that's something that we want to try and implement this early on this year.
I think that's awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Bernardo.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all.
That concludes. All right. And last but not least is Alexa Guerrero. She will present the report for the Health Science Center in El Paso. Thank you and welcome.
Good morning. My name is Alexa Guerrero, and I am the SGA president from El Paso. So back in May, we had our commencement ceremony. We had 91 graduates from the School of Medicine, 77 from the School of Nursing, and 37 from the Graduate School of Biomedical Sciences. Also back in June, we had our ribbon cutting and grand opening of the Woody L. Hunt School of Dental Medicine, where we welcomed 40 students. Dr. Lang gave an amazing presentation. So, MedVenture for Your Future, back in June and July, we had our summer service event where we were able to host a summer camp. We paired up with the Office of Outreach Programs to host summer camps for middle school and high school students within the community. And this was kind of a passion project of mine, because I was able to sit down with one of the counselors at the at-risk high schools in El Paso, Far East El Paso, and she stated to me that majority of her students had a hard time during COVID, and a lot of them were at risk for not graduating, repeating, or dropping out. And a lot of them were also young parents. So my executives and I kind of asked her, what can El Paso and Texas Tech University do for you? And of all the things she could have asked for, she said, we just need support. So my executives and I got together and we said, how can we do this? How can we help these schools? And this is how, creating educational outreach programs. So we created ad hoc committees that will serve as educational outreach programs for the community. We started Baila Conmigo, which is an after-school dance program for middle schools within the community to help increase attendance. We also started Tech Supports, which also hosted the health fair last semester, but we'll also start a mentorship program with San Elizario High School, which is one of the most at-risk high schools in the far east side of El Paso. Okay, so one of our goals for SGA was to increase our presence on campus, and we wanted to make sure that our peers felt that we were representing them and advocating for them the best that we can. So we are moving to a legislative process, which has not been done in the past. We felt that we will be able to operate more effectively and efficiently under this process. So these are just a couple of the bills that we have on the table. Right now we have over, I believe, 40 bills on the table for when we get our Senate seated in September. So diversity and inclusion. As the graduate school representative on the Council of Diversity and Inclusion, I've learned that your educational environment is an educational environment that provides comfort and security to your identity truly enhances your ability to learn. So Dr. Lang had the amazing idea to start a cultural diversity and inclusion task force, and one of our first assignments is to create an anonymous reporting system where employees and students can be able to anonymously report and raise concerns about biases they feel they've experienced on campus. We also, at this upcoming week, we have our 10th annual competence conference, 10th annual cultural competence conference, and I believe that promoting diversity and inclusion at the institutional level is important, but we also must be able to learn what we learn from each other and transmit it to the community that we serve. Our campus serves a very diverse community, and we are specifically focused on creating compassionate future healthcare professionals. And so I believe that we must be able to recognize diversity, advocate for inclusion, and promote education for ourselves and our peers and have difficult conversations. And SGA will also be promoting a week-long for Diversity Week. We have paired with several community partners that will come in and give us ally training, cultural bias training, and such things like that. So for our summer initiatives, we started a Red Raider pantry where students can come and discreetly grab groceries if they are in need. It is in a 24-hour lounge, so even if they just if they're studying late and they just want to come get snacks, they are also more than welcome to do so. My amazing executive council, specifically my VP of Student Development, Toby, she decided that it would be a great idea for us to start a career closet. So for students who are having presentations and interviews coming up, they can come and check out a suit, business wear for anything that they may need. And also in honor of our gym reopening, we did a special giveaway where we gave away TTU shaker bottles, sweat towels, and workout bands if they posted a picture using our gym. So that was that. And then for our future plans in September, we are going to be having our senator elections. We will also be having our fall Welcome Back to School event. In October, we will be doing our service event, Corazón de Oro, where we pair with the El Paso Food Bank and we hand out food every weekend for a month. And then also we have our Diversity Week that we have planned. And then we are hoping to attend a leadership conference or host our very own leadership conference at Texas Tech. Any questions?
Thank you very much. We appreciate all the effort it took for you to come here and do this presentation. You'll be commended for your leadership, so thank you.
Thank you so much. It's always an honor to come and share what we're doing on our campus with you guys.
Absolutely. All right, with that, the final item of business is announcements. And I do have one announcement. I would like to recognize Regent Acosta was recently awarded the Business Champion Award. This new award at Texas Tech University alumni whose contributions and accomplishments have made a significant impact to the Rawls College of Business or the business community as a whole. Throughout their careers, honorees have contributed significantly to their industry communities, the university, while upholding the highest standards and values. There's an awards ceremony to recognize her and others for the 17th of September here in Lubbock. Congratulations to Regent Acosta. Any other comments, announcements, et cetera? Dr. Mitchell?
None from me.
We're good. All right, this meeting of the Board of Regents, excuse me, do I hear a motion to adjourn the board?
So moved.
Got ahead of myself. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
This meeting of the Board of Regents of Texas Tech University stands adjourned.